Greetings, friends and relatives. Bob Rennie speaking, alias Bob Rezek, which was our Czech name. I'm going to show you how to make knedlíky, which is the Czech word for a Czech dumpling. It's made with flour, milk, eggs, and bread. It's one of the favorite foods that our family has, and so the family has a record of this. I'm going to make it, and every family member will have access to how to make Czech dumplings. I've got a pan here, and I'm going to see just how much I put in. I never measure anything, but I'm going to today for you. There goes 1 cup, and here goes a 2nd cup. And I'll put 2.5 cups in, and that's probably about right. So if you look here, you can see how much is in there. So I put in 2.5 cups, and now what I've done is I've scooped a little hole here in the middle. If you want to come forward, cameraman, and notice that I have a little hole down in here. I'm going to pour some milk in there. Now I better measure how much milk. I'll start with a cup. That probably will be a good start. There's 1 cup, and so I've put in what, 3 cups, wasn't it? You can check that later. And then I break an egg into the milk. I take a fork and I mix it up like this until it gets pretty well mixed up into the milk. Now I also will add some salt. And here it is. Oops, sorry. Not the way to do things. All right. So there's some salt. And now I will mix it up. See how it goes. That still needs some more milk in here. Okay, I'll put in another half a cup. So there's a quarter of a cup here, so I'll put in 2 of these. 1, 2, and I'll stir in this some more. Nowadays they don't make the spoons as strong as they used to. This is one my mother had, and it's a good strong spoon. Okay, I'm going to put in a little bit more. I'm going to put in another cup. So that means a total of 1 3/4 cups of milk. Let's see if that does it. It's really heavy work moving this dough around. I remember my grandmother used to sit down and put it on her lap and mix it quite thoroughly. Now that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to bring it over here so I can mix it up a little bit better, and I get a movement like this as I do it. It lets lots of air in. I think that's going to be good. So that was, I'm going to go over that again. I think it was 3 cups of milk I put in, Dylan? Or 3 cups of flour?
Yeah.
3 cups of flour and 1 3/4 cup of milk. So that's coming out pretty well now. Okay, we can just stop that for a minute and I'll continue to stir. My grandmother, Grandma Salick, used to make it, and my mother would sit down because it's a lot easier to do. And, oh, we got a good batter today. This is going to be good. Hope I'm not out of breath. My age, mixing all this stuff up. I think I'm the only descendant of the Salicks that makes knedlíky, except for people who descend from me. But none of my cousins did, and so I am the only the sole person that's carrying on this tradition. And as I said, all of our children and their children really enjoy it. Can you see that well in there, Dylan? Can you see the texture and everything, how it's mixing? We've never done a video together before, so this is the first time. We'll probably put it on YouTube and we'll be famous for our dumplings. Knedlíky, I'll have to learn how to spell that. Okay, I think that's good. All right. Now, Dylan, okay, do you have the bread in here? Okay, now, this is white bread with the crusts in there. Sometimes the crusts make it much more colorful and better. So a lot of times I'll get hot dog buns, dry them out in the air after I've cubed them, in maybe about 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch cubes. And so I let them dry so that it is dry before we put them in. And then I'm going to put these into the batter. And you can see how I put them in here. Okay. Now I'm going to mix them up. And I may put a few more in there. I don't know just how many I'll need. You want to come over here, Dylan, and look to see how I'm mixing it in. Good. Okay, that's coming nicely. Can you imagine Grandma Salik knowing that we're putting this on video and so all posterity can see what she taught us? I'm going to throw a little bit more in. As I said, you want to be sure to have some of the crusts. I haven't used any other kind of bread except white bread. Don't know how that all works, but okay, now we're ready to start boiling the dumplings. I've got the bread mixed up in here, and I have this pot which is fairly good sized, and it's half full and boiling hard. You have to have the water boiling hard to make dumplings. Now the first thing I do, I have some flour here, and I pat my fingers in here like this to make sure that I get a lot of flour on them. Okay, like this. And then I get a scoopful of dumpling, about that much, and I drop it here and I scrape some of it off with my fingers, and then I bounce it around. I keep as much of a ball as possible, because if you get many cracks in it, it falls apart when it boils. So I pack it as I do it. Now it's coated in flour, and I put it in the boiling water. Okay, and then I do another one, the same. Again, keep the flour on my fingers, probably put a wee bit more there. And again, I pack it around so that I don't have cracks and flour between the cracks, in the cracks, because it will then give me a problem. So again, this one here you can see it's rolled into a ball, and I'm putting that in there. Now we'll do another one. So this goes here. How many do I have? I might have enough for 2 more in there. Again, what am I doing now? I'm rolling this, making sure that we don't get any flour in the cracks. There's number 3. I'll get 4 here. Get some more in there. Now when we get these usually boil for about 20 minutes. You boil them for 10 minutes, you keep the lid on and try not to have it boil over, but it will generally a bit. And it's better to have the lid on it so that they get done right throughout. So you may get a little bit of overflow on your stove. Be aware of that. And that will make better dumplings, but a dirty stove. So you have to decide just what you're doing. Now this little dumpling here just didn't come out quite as big as the others. And there. Now if you'd like to just show what we have in there. Now we will take the lid off in 10 minutes, turn them over, and then cook them for another 10 minutes, then we'll take them out and we'll show you the results. Okay, that's okay. Now another thing that went with our meal was cabbage. And I've chopped up a little less than a half an onion here. I put that in the pan and cook it up first. And then I have a piece of cabbage here. I've cored out the main part here, the heavy stuff. And I'm going to start chopping this up like this long. You see how that's cutting up? Can you see that okay, Dylan? Good. Okay, and that's fine. Thanks, Dylan. I'll get that started in just a minute. You can cut now. Now, I've put a little bit of olive oil in here, and the onions are going in, and I'm putting some salt in with the onions. And some caraway. The Czechs cook a lot with caraway. We could put caraway in with our roasts as well. And I'll get that cooked up a bit, and then I'll add some water. Where did did you put the...
Okay.
No, I want the spoon.
Oh.
The wooden spoon. Just turn it off with. Okay, now I'm frying this up a little bit, as I said, in the olive oil. And a lot of the times I'll take some of the drippings of the roast. You want to open this up, please? And the roast is cooking now while I'm doing that. And if you look in here, there's a lot of drippings. I've added a little bit of water to the roast, but if I put a spoonful of drippings in there, it'll make it all the tastier. And it'll make it more... Here we go. Here, I'll put some of this in there, so I'm going to get this. This isn't rehearsed, you can tell. And I'm going to put that in there. Another spoonful. And that will mix in with the cabbage. A lot of times people put apples in as well. And so we'll cook this for just a few minutes. And now I'll put some water in there. Get it started. Then I'm going to put all this cabbage in. Okay, and then we'll cover this over. Now, I'm also going to add a little bit of sugar eventually and vinegar. So that will add to the flavor. Right now I'll just put the lid on there so you can turn that off. Thank you. Okay, now the dumplings are just about ready to be turned. My timer says that 10 minutes is here. So Diller, if you'd come over here please and record how hard these are boiling. Okay, then what I do, and it's best to have a big fork like this when you're dealing with dumplings. Otherwise they have a tendency to come apart. We'll turn that one over, 2 over, 3 over, 4 over, and now 5 over. When we get these finished, we'll slice them up and put drippings from the roast on top of them. Okay, so I think that that's about ready to go. So we turn to just at the 10-minute mark, and we'll take them out in 10 minutes. Good, thanks, Dylan. Okay, now here's the cabbage, and I've added about a tablespoon of vinegar and a tablespoon of sugar to it just before it's finished up. And it adds a nice flavor, and the onions are mixed through it. The caraway seed is there, so it'll be really tasty when we sit down to eat. Good, thank you. Okay, now we're ready to take the dumplings out. I'll use this big fork and bring it down here. And I have a pot here ready to put them in. So I do this.